morning, everyone, and welcome to our inaugural Ride to Provide virtual challenge with Hands Across the Water. We are super excited, and it is our absolute pleasure to welcome you today to our first day. We're going to be riding together for the next month, so it's going to be pretty exciting. I'm Claire Baines. For those that don't know me, I'm the GM of Hands Across the Water, and I'll be getting us started this morning. So we're going to assume you're already on your bike, you've got some water next to you, and you're ready to start pedaling if you haven't started already. So Carol, I could just see in the chat there, you can't see me. That's okay. You'll be seeing the virtual ride instead of my lovely face this morning, but you will get to see Pete shortly. So if you can't already see him. Anyway, so let's get going. So the distance you're going to travel during these sessions will vary according to the pace you're going at. If you have an odometer on your bike, then you can log your exact Ks into My Virtual Mission at the end of your session. If you don't have an odometer, we've set an average 25 kilometres for each 45-minute session. Now, we know that might be pretty generous, and some of you may go over if you're pushing hard, some may fall under. But the most important thing is you're here, you're on the bike, and you're supporting our kids. And for that, we are so grateful. Over coming weeks, we're going to be hosting these daily Zoom sessions to help you clock your Ks. Some days we'll have some special guests, like today, and you'll be able to listen to their stories while you pedal. Other days, we'll be running music and ride sessions where you'll be able to pump up the tunes and take in the scenery. Plus, we'll also do some chat room sessions so you can meet some other riders. Now, you'll see that we've counted down and we've started riding. So today we're going to be riding the first two stages from Phetchaburi to Hua Hin. This is the day one of our 8-day Thailand ride. So for those that have done the coastal ride, you'll start to see a few familiar landmarks. But it's time to get going, and I'm going to introduce you to our first guest, who is founder of Hands Across the Water, also my husband. Pete's going to jump on the bike with you this morning and have a chat, and we'll close out the session with some tunes and good riding. So for now, let's get some speed up, and it's over to you, Pete.
Yeah, thanks, CT, and good morning, everyone. Thanks for being part of our first Ride to Provide a virtual challenge. It's really cool to have you all here and have so many people who have jumped on and supported us. This is the first time we've done this, and it's all been pulled together within a couple of weeks. So there'll probably be a few things that we'll learn over the next couple of days and refine and change. But given that it's been pulled together in such a short time, there's been a lot of hard work go into it. Just bear with us as we work through all of these challenges that are before us. So what I love about this virtual challenge is that unlike there's plenty of them out there at the moment, but here you actually get to ride the exact roads that we ride in Thailand. And this is the first morning of the first day of the 800-kilometre ride. You can see beautiful skies there in Thailand, and you can see the traffic on the road, and this is pretty typical. Some of the comments that we often get from people, two things. One's around the quality of the roads and the quality of the bikes, and we can control the bikes, and that's with our great supporters from Tour de Asia, Chris and Gay, who are going to be joining us at midday, and we've been riding with them since 2009. So you can just see the roads, and it's not the crazy Bangkok roads that people often fear that we're going to be riding in. What we'll do is, as CT said, we've got some guests who are scheduled to join us at 7 a.m. or midday, and each of the sessions, the audio will be recorded with the guests. So if you a lot of people only obviously do one session, and if you've missed the session, then that will be recorded, and you can listen to that as an audio file later on. The list of guests will be released each Sunday, so then you can check out who's coming up and maybe decide what sessions you want to do according to what guests are coming up for that week. Any questions or any problems or anything like that, just type into the chat box. CT can read that and respond and as needed. So we've got some sponsors that have helped make this all possible for us, and straight up is a good friend of ours at Hands, JD from Stories in Motion, and he's been working tirelessly to cut the footage, put it all together like this is, and thanks JD for all of your work. If you need any corporate videos or anything like that done, he's your man. Amazing Thailand, the support from Tourism Authority of Thailand have come on board again and supporting us, and one of the prizes that you would be aware of is that there's the King and Queen of the Mountain. But like all our rides, it's not about our fastest or strongest, but there's a trip for the King and the Queen. Oh, up we go, climbing this hill, the first big hill of the day. And there we go. That's about as hilly as it gets on day one. Even Scotty Stein got up that one. I can see him at the back there. Well done, Scotty. And so the King and Queen of the Mountain is for the top of the fundraisers. So at the end of the month, the highest fundraiser for the man and for the woman will receive a trip to Thailand, courtesy of our friends at Tourism Authority of Thailand, which is just wonderful. Excello is our friends from Aiden, and they're an advertising agency who Aiden came up with the concept to do this, and I think you'll agree it's going to be a great success for us. And in the times where we're struggling with the travel, this will be brilliant. So well done, mate, and thanks for the support from Excello. I mentioned Tour de Asia. All of our rides in Thailand are with the wonderful family from TDA, and those of you who have ridden with us in Thailand would count Chris and Gay as part of your family. So we're on the streets now. You can see that we've changed the roads, and again the traffic. This is a very, very typical. Nice wide verge there, and you can see over to the left is a new bike path that's just been built. So when we head back, we'll be riding down that one, and you can see the quality of that just there. CT, pull your chair out of the picture. There we go. Bit more. All right, so that's our sponsors, and GoPro finally have jumped on board to support us as well, and they've given us the hardware to conduct this ride, and we appreciate their support. There we go, the first traffic of the morning. Make sure you're looking up bridge, not just head down. You can see the traffic. We don't want anyone getting run over. No rain over there today, which is a wonderful thing. Nice riding over there. So why is this ride so important to us? Well, our operating costs are $1.9 million a year. That's to keep the 7 homes going, to keep all the kids fed, to keep the staff in Thailand employed, keep the kids healthy, keep the kids at school, and keep the university scholarship program running. And the problem with what's happened with the shutdown is that the costs haven't gone away. The costs haven't changed. We're still running at the same. There's not much you can do about the costs of running a family, which is what it is. It's a big family. But our ability to take people away on the bikes and ride in Thailand, which is such a big source of income for us, well, that's been taken away. So that's why this opportunity here with what we're creating is so important to us. So where is Hands at? Well, Hands has operated for quite a while where we worked incredibly hard, and I guess the strength of the board had always advocated that we have 1 year's operating expenses saved for days like, well, who could have expected this, but say for a rainy day. And for a long time there, we had close to a year's operating costs saved. And over the last couple of years, that's been whittled away a bit by the fall of the Australian dollar against the Thai baht. The Thai baht is really strong, and it's pegged against the US dollar. So in 2012, we were actually getting 32 baht to the dollar. Now we're doing our budgets on 19 and 18 baht to the dollar. So our operating costs have been going up 20% a year on average, which is pretty hard to keep raising 20% more plus normal inflation. So what that's meant is that we do have good savings, and that will help us see this through. But obviously, it's tough when we're not on the road, we're not out there fundraising, and so that's why this ride is really important to us. I'm certainly optimistic about the future for us, and part of that optimism comes from the bushfires. And that might sound a little bit strange, but no one will forget the bushfires of 19 and 20 of the summer just past. And at the time, we had a number of bike rides that were ready to go. We had the January ride, and for the first time, I missed the start of that to stay home and look after our farm that had fires at the boundaries, and look after the stock. But after that, we also had another couple of rides. Friends from New Zealand with DTR were due to ride, and we had the Digital Live ride along with Blueprint. And then the Doing Good Rewards rides. We actually had 6 rides between January and April, which were supposed to occur. And where the optimism comes from is that during the height of the bushfires and through January, that was the key time for fundraising for Digital Live and the other rides that we had. And there were people saying, how do we fundraise when so much attention is on the Australian bushfires and those in need, and something that was so visible and so in front of us. And we were concerned around how that would impact. But this is where the optimism comes from. I was talking to the Digital Live riders, who are all from the real estate industry and led by Steve Carroll, and they were sitting at below 100K. Their target was to get to 250K, and it was a matter of weeks that they had to raise the money. And as I said, I was concerned as to how they would go. Well, they ended up raising $470,000 by the time the ride finished in March. And so that gives me real optimism that those connected with Hands and their supporters and their friends and their families you can approach this in two ways. You can approach it with a mindset of abundance or scarcity. And I had a conversation with a blueprint writer very early on who said to me, you know, my family's been directly affected by the bushfires. And he said, I want to raise all my money, but I want you to give it to the bushfires. And I said to him, well, we can't. I said, one, we're not allowed. That would be against the law. And I said, the other thing is, I said, just because the bushfires are here, and as I said, I had a very real and personal insight into the impact of that. I said, but no matter how bad they are, that doesn't change what's happening in Thailand. And he responded and said, you're absolutely right. He said, I was going to raise $5,000. He said, but now I'll raise 5 for the bushfires and 5 for Hans. And that's the type of mindset that gives me optimism for the future and the challenges that we face heading forward. So those that are new to Hans, let me just take you back a little bit to the start. Those that have heard it all before, or many times, there's a mute button that you can press, and I'll give you a wave when I've stopped talking. So the start of Hans, I was working in Thailand after the Boxing Day tsunami, leading the teams from both Australia and around the world in the identification of those who died as a result of the tsunami. I spent several months in Thailand, and then a friend of mine who'd met Kun Rotjana introduced me to the kids and the loss and said we should do something. And she was from the UK and I was from Australia, and we said, yeah, that makes sense. And we decided to raise some money. And naively, I thought, once we raise the money and build the home, but that was the goal, then the problems are over. And it wasn't until I went over there for the opening of the first home that I really grasped the work that was ahead of us. And there was a question of, well, who supports them now that we've opened the home? And so I returned to Australia, and the structure of Hans was formed, and we put in place a board, and that included Scotty Stein, who I spoke about, who's the first and remains with me, the founding directors of the board, and we've been on this journey now for 15 years. We've got 7 projects across Thailand and looking after around 300 odd kids on a permanent residential nature. Now, it's not our desire to grow that number. As in any charity, the best thing that we could do is cease to exist because the problem doesn't exist anymore. Well, that's unlikely to happen. And one of the impacts of coronavirus is that the resort area of Khao Lak and so many hotels in Thailand have all shut down. And what that means is families are now without income, now without the support. They certainly haven't got the support that we've received here in Australia. And so now there's an increased demand upon our services to assist in those communities. You see some of the beautiful area that we're riding through here, and again, how quiet the roads are, and the route that we pick, it's done on purpose, and there's a lot of work that goes into that to get people off the main roads so that we can ride, and we ride at your own pace. Just as you are this morning, you set your pace, and that's how it works in Thailand. So over the coming weeks, you'll hear from our homes. We've got a team on the bike at Palmer House, at Bantham and Chai and Ban Home Hug. The kids are riding, and you might have seen on the Facebook post I put up yesterday that Ban Home Hug, so typical of them, have gone out and built a spin studio. So they've constructed this studio in between the pig pen and the cattle yards up at Home Hug, and it's just amazing to see what they've done there. But that's, so we'll hear from them. They're all riding, we've got kids at BTN who are running the distance, and collectively as teams, they're all part of it. So that's where our money's going, that's what we're supporting. We've also, as I said, we've got the university scholarship program, and none of us want to say to any of the kids, listen, we can't afford you to continue through university. So that's why all of this is so important. We're heading down towards lunch on the first day. The first day in Thailand on our 800k ride is a really short day. It's a beautiful day. We have lunch at the end of this stop, and there's only 2 legs to it. And tomorrow morning or midday, we'll do the second leg, which will take us into the resort town of Hua Hin. Now we're on the east coast of Thailand, and in the area of the Gulf of Thailand. So we'll make a left turn here and head down towards the beach, and make a right turn again in a minute. And this is taking us through the back streets towards where we have lunch. And when we see the water, people wonder, did the tsunami come through here? And not on this side. This is on the east coast of Thailand, and the tsunami impacted the west coast through the Andaman Sea. And that's where we'll head at the back end of June, is we'll cross the mountains and head over to the west coast. Again, some beautiful roads as we head in towards lunch on the first day. So how did the ride start? Well, let me tell you about that. I'd spoken at a conference and met a couple of people who made a commitment, and today stayed true to that commitment, and 11 years on, 12 years on, are still part of Hands, and are riding with us today as we speak. Dan Murray and Bridget Gibson were working with the Commonwealth Bank at the time, and I spoke at this conference, and in some way it spoke to them, and we ended up with a Bridge deciding she wanted to do something to support us. So Bridge went home to Andrew, her husband, said, I'm going to do a bike ride from Bangkok down to Khao Lak, 800 kilometres, and I'll raise $10,000 in support of them. And Andrew said, well, why would you bother? Just give them the $10,000. Well, Bridge, we're glad you didn't listen to Andrew. And there's a lesson in that, ladies. And don't listen to your husbands. I know mine doesn't. So we started, Bridge said, this is what I'm going to do. And I said, well, I'll come with you. And quickly it grew, and we ended up with 17 riders in that first year, and 5 of them were my family. And we decided that we'd do a ride and would raise some money in support of Hands. And as I said, there were 17 riders that year, and each of us had a goal of raising $10,000, obviously paying for all of your expenses. And it was such a success that at the end of that ride, when we were back in Australia, I thought we should do that again. So in 2010, we did it again. And this time, we had 34 people. And Nata joined us for the first time. And we had lots of the crew from Nata come and ride with us. And we realised that if we continued to nurture and build upon the ride, that this could be something that would stay with us for a while. By 2011, we had enough to do 2 rides, and we split the ride, and we did this ride, the Southern Ride, turned around, and 2 days later, did it again. In 2012, we rode the first Northern Ride, which is from, we fly into Udon Thani up in the northeast, and we ride down along the Mekong River. And we finish 8 days later at Yosoton at Ban Home Hug. And as I said, we'll see them later in the tour. So we finished that ride. 2 days later, we're on to Bangkok, and we're doing the Southern Ride again. And this is the model that's continued. And then we started offering private or corporate rides, and we got friends from Doing Good Rewards out of Melbourne who are with us, and they were part of one of the first corporate rides that we did. And Patrick and Dill and Putri and Michael from that first ride are still riding with us today, and we were due to ride in March. So we've got these rides just continue, and the growth of them has been a wonderful thing. Blueprint, great supporters and friends of ours, came on board to ride with us, and have been riding since 2014. Raised over $2 million for us. And one of the things with the ride is that in Thailand, it's an inclusive experience. You're not about, it's not about being first. It's not about being fastest. It's about this wonderful shared experience. And we have 76% of our riders who will ride and come back and ride again. So we know that the model works. As I said, this year we were supposed to have the 6 rides. It looks like for those that have missed this year's ride with Blueprint and DGR and so forth, but actually we won't get back on the bikes until next year, 2021, to be honest. And the impact of that means that we lose close to 12 months fundraising from a number of these key initiatives. So that's why this ride that we're doing now is so important, and it'll bring in those funds that we need to continue to support the kids and the kids that you will meet during this journey. So we've got about 15 minutes to go, and I hope you're enjoying the nice, easy ride. And one of the things is you'll see over the coming days is just how the scenery changes, and we'll head into, we'll ride along roads that are beautiful down the coast, where you know, between the distance between what we're seeing on the road here and the footpath is the water crashing against the seawall. We'll ride through some beautiful rubber plantations and dirt roads and tiny villages, and for me, they're the most beautiful aspects of this ride. So what's the future direction for Hands? Well, there's pre-COVID and there's now. Right now, it's about just being able to provide continuity for the kids and projects that we've got. But pre-COVID, and some of it's continuing, there was 3 big initiatives for this year. And last year we started focusing on the opportunities beyond home, beyond school, and beyond university, because not all kids want to go to university, certainly not in Australia, not in Thailand. And so what else can we do? And one of the things, we've got some great partners, great people that we're working with who are helping us towards providing solutions around introduction to and learning in the digital space. Up at Van Home Hug in June, or we're there now, in a couple of weeks, the learning centre that we've been building will be opened, and we'll start the teaching of the kids in digital technology. And the thing about it, the importance of that up there is so many of the kids from within and outside our homes are really discriminated against, and certainly miss a lot of opportunities for them. But by building the digital learning centre, during the day, we'll operate as a childcare centre for families who don't have access to that. And there's a lot of itinerant workers up in that region who take their kids with them as they move around, and the kids are missing those early formative years of school. Well, with the creation of the centre, they'll have that opportunity. But then as the centre closes of an afternoon to the young kids, it'll become a digital learning centre for the older kids. And we're working with some industry partners in the development of education that leads directly to employment. And that employment, what we'll do is we've already secured agreements with business to provide coding and so forth to meet their needs in digital technology. And we'll also work with kids so that when they're comfortable, they'll be able to leave and start their own business. And all of this means they can stay within Yossaton. They can stay with their extended, or what they know as family, without the need to have to leave what is country, rural Thailand and head to Bangkok for work. So that centre, as I said, is about to open. It was fully funded pre-COVID, and that we've already started the training, and that's fantastic to see. The final project I'll share with you before I stop talking is the Hospitality Training Centre. And those that have been down to Baines Chem, you know we have a wonderful facility. We built there and opened at the end of the 2011 ride, and there's an opportunity to repurpose that and meet the needs of the Hospitality Training Centre. It was certainly something when I was over there in February on my last trip, that the hotels were just screaming out for trained staff. And at the Hospitality Training Centre, again, we'll provide that training that leads to direct employment. So it's not training for training's sake, it's training to lead directly into employment. All right, we're coming up to lunch. I'm going to stop talking, but remember, if you can share the ride, talk about it, ask for $16.70 from 30 people, that'll give you 500. Enjoy the beautiful coast on the left as we come in for lunch. And thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks, Pete. We've had some great comments coming into the feed there, and I've just noticed that you sweat as much on the bike inside as you do on the roads in Thailand. You're getting a bit of a workout down there. I love it. So there was a question that came in from Greg, just asking how many people are riding in the challenge. We're close to 200 registrations for the challenge, which we are super excited about. And what have we got? We've got 50 on this morning. So we've got some that braved the early morning, and we've got a 12 o'clock session happening today as well. So we'll see many more on there. But you can also, if you can't make any of these Zoom sessions, we'll make the footage available so that you can download it and watch it in your own time. So we've got a YouTube playlist that you'll be able to have a look and download which days you may miss, so that you don't miss the stunning scenery. Are there any other questions for Pete? Feel free to pop them into the chat. Scotty said for once he's not on the bike behind Pete's sweat.
Yeah.
I'm with you there, Scotty. What else have we got? Valerie, great to see you on this morning. And I encourage all of you to jump into the Facebook group. So, you know, I think most of you are in there, but jump in there, because that's where we'll be sharing just different updates as the week goes on. You can ask questions, share photos. We would love to see photos. I've had a couple sent through to me today while you guys are riding, and it's awesome. So it's great to see families sharing the experience together, as well as those of you who are choosing to just pedal out in the comfort of your own lounge room. So awesome.
CT, we might just want to remind people that after you finish this morning, what you need to do is go on to the My Virtual Mission website, and you can do it by downloading the app or just onto your page. Go into your profile, and you need to upload today with your 25Ks. So as CT explained this morning, if you're not measuring, if you want to take the 25, do that. If you've ridden more, you just go in and create a manual entry. And the only time you don't do a manual entry is if you've connected one of the fitness apps such as Strava or Fitbit, and if that's monitoring it. But otherwise, put your manual entry in, and you'll see your little head, your little avatar start its journey south towards Ban Tham Nam Chai. I don't know if Dave Anderson's on, but Ando got a sneaky 14 Ks in last night, so he's been penalised. Now has to ride an extra 14, plus the fine committee loaded him with another 14, so now he's got to do 8:28. So Ando, if you're on this morning, if you're watching this, you've got a little bit further to ride, but it's all within you.
We've got a couple more comments coming in. So Christine has said, how do you ride and talk so much? I love that, Christine. We're missing the tunes from Tony's bike on the ride. We've got Craig Ferguson's on the call. Awesome to see Thailand. What else? The memories, Susan Dean. And the same pain in the backside. coming to the end of a 45-minute session. It's yeah, time in the saddle, that's what we say. Oh, we've got Christian on the call. I think he might be our youngest rider, 10 years old.
Go, Christian.
Yes. Give your mum a good run this morning. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, we're coming into who are in this morning, so we might just chat it out before, we've only got a couple of minutes to go. So yeah, look, over the next week, we've got a mixture of just different sessions coming up. So tomorrow we've got Mike Tomalaris from SBS. So he's coming on and he's going to be interviewing Jen Brown from Sparta Chicks. Pete, do you want to just share a bit about Jen?
Yeah, Jen's amazing. She runs a program. In her words, she's a reformed lawyer, and I think now is making a bigger impact than she ever would have. There's a program that helps and inspires women towards reaching their goals, and whether it's through triathlons or marathons or ultras, trail running, she does that. And she also runs an amazing podcast, obviously free to listen to, where she interviews a heap of people. And we've actually been fortunate to piggyback on that. And a lot of the people that Jen has spoken to will be joining us over the next week or so. And Scotty Sign will be having a chat with Tiff Winchester on Wednesday lunchtime, and Tiff came to us from Jen, and Tiff just does these amazing things around endurance riding on the bike, and it's just an absolute nut. But you'll enjoy the chat with Jen tomorrow morning with Tomo. And if you want to check out her website, her program, her podcast, Sparta Chicks, is where you head.
Great, thank you. And we've just got a few more questions coming in. So can people still join? Absolutely, they can. So just head to the website and jump on and join. How's Peter going with his singing? Is there likely to be fines handed out? Yeah. How many newbies to the ride? Thanks, Emma. We haven't actually run those numbers yet. So we've seen a lot of new faces coming in, a lot of old faces coming on as well. So we'll have those numbers for you tomorrow. And what else have we got there? We've got, can we get a Sawadi cup? That's from Greg. Just, yeah, making it feel authentic. So look, we've come to the end of our first session, and pretty excited, excited that it just went well. It's always interesting using tech and relying on tech for these experiences. So I'm super proud of our team and all that they've done to get us to this point. Now look, before we go, I just wanted to, given that this is the first time we've run this type of experience, I do have a little Zoom poll that I just wanted to quickly pop up, just so that we can, get a gauge of your experience. So if you don't mind, if you can just answer those questions if they have come up on the screen. Hopefully they have. And that will just help us, tweak over the next couple of days as we finalize this. So yeah, as we said, tomorrow's session, we're going to be joined by Mike, interviewing Jen, and the recordings from these sessions will make them available as well. So if you want to catch up on anything, that's great. But for now, we are going to wish you well on your day. Have a great Monday. Happy Monday. Send us through some photos from this morning. Pop them into the Facebook group, have a chat. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you guys either at lunchtime or tomorrow.
Well done, everyone. Bloody cup.